Well, to start asking about how you got interested in doing this sort of stuff with the pine cones and the flowers and the leaves.
I really just think living in the area and in the woods, it's been part of our lives, and it grows on you as time goes on. You see it, and you read about how much use there is to pine cones and the things that you can do with them and all. And the first thing you know, you're doing things and enjoying it and getting deeper in it. I have never made them for money. I make them for our church festivals or for gifts or, to do, or if somebody else is having something, I'd like to make them a little wreath or couple of wreaths or something. But I have never made them for money, just for fun,
Yeah. How'd you learn how to make them?
Well, for no reason at all, made them in all different ways. Now this is just pasted on a piece of cardboard, this one here. You can see, just a little, it wouldn't take a lot of abuse, but for an indoor wreath, it's, see?
Oh, yeah. And it's just pasted on?
See, on a piece of cardboard. Usually, they have a frame out now, which my daughter had seen them up at the Berlin auction. That's a big place where they have everything. Have you ever been there?
No.
No, you must get there. Part of what goes on in South Jersey. And they have these wreaths. Now, I don't have any of them here now. I have a couple of cone wreaths up in the attic I should have gotten down too that are used with this form. And you put the wreaths in there and in all different directions, and that makes a wreath too. But I had seen this, where at places that they did this, then you figure it out for yourself.
And they're glued with linoleum paste.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is. Now, I wouldn't say I have made some that were sold for outside and all. I haven't had any complaints about them. But I wouldn't be I wouldn't encourage it to be used outside.
But they do have waterproof linoleum paste.
Yeah.
I think you could use that for the outside.
Okay.
If you got a husband, you get in all kind of trouble. It's on account of he gets burned up because I put all this stuff in his shed, and the first thing you know, he claims he has no place to put it. I like to, when I started the grapevine bit, I went to, I picked up the artificial grapes and I used that a lot. But I just got them secondhand and I told so many people now I can't find them anymore. Everybody's doing a say, don't pay to talk so much. But, that would cost you $3 or $4 today. And now maybe I paid 50 cents for it at an auction or a yard sale or something. But
and the Berlin auction is where they...
they have a lot of junkies there, and you walk around and...
How often is that held?
It's open on Thursdays it's the big building, but on Saturday and Sundays they're out.
Well, so you can things like peaches, beets,
peaches, beets, lima beans. I can take you in the cellar if you don't look at my cellar, and I'll show you some of the things.
We've been spending a lot of time in people's cellars lately.
Oh boy, you haven't seen any like this. How are they? Are they all nice and neat, lined up, very nice? All right, we'll let you go.
Well, if you were in Hamilton, you probably saw the wine barrels in the cellar then. My wife's specialty is dandelion wine.
Now you make that in the spring?
Yes, when the dandelions bloom.
So how do you make dandelion wine?
Well, I pick the blossoms. That's one thing I never have any help with, believe me. I used to have help with neighborhood kids when they were little, and it was adorable. And while they were picking these, I used to think, I can't say nothing. But all the while I was wondering about the little strands of garlic, that came off with the blossoms. So I picked them out, washed them, and rinsed them off, put them in my big preserving pot, and poured boiling water over them. Amounts, to whatever. I don't know exactly what amounts. I don't measure anything when I can or bake But then when that cools off, I slice a few oranges and lemons in it, and I leave that all sit overnight till it cools off. Then the next day, I get all my colanders out and put cheesecloth over them and strain it all. Put it into a crock. put a yeast cake in it, and leave it sit until it's, well, done fermenting, which is a guess, I never know. And I think it's about, I throw a few raisins in the crock too.
What are they supposed to do?
I help it ferment. There's action. I guess you put raisins in lots of things to cause. But when I lift the cheesecloth up over the crock, boy, you hear it sizzling in there, and it really makes a noise. And then when that sort of subsides a little bit, that noise, then I bottle it. I just put it in gallon jugs so that I can leave the sediment go, and then later on I'll rack it off, or whatever you call it, to put it in bottles. But I don't cap it securely.
Now the crock that we made the dandelion wine in today, that has sauerkraut in it.
Oh, really? Oh, boy.
It's in the fermenting stage now.
How long, and do you have any, estimate of how long it takes to ferment?
For the dandelion wine, I usually say about 10 or 12 days, sometimes 2 weeks. It depends on the weather too. If it gets hot, and it gets hot in the kitchen and all where we have it, makes a big difference. And the same with the sauerkraut now. We have the little wood stove on in the kitchen now. I've never made sauerkraut this late, but we just happen to have the cabbage, so we're utilizing it, to...
Where do you get the produce that you use?
Mostly, we usually raise it, or some of my family has it. I have a lot of brothers and different ones around that have raised gardens. If they have extra, they'll say, come and get this. This is going to waste, or the cabbage is splitting in the field or something, and I'll get it. So
you rarely have to buy something at a produce market?
No, never. Then I probably wouldn't make as much stuff, because...
Do most of the women in your family can?
Yes, they do.
How about the younger generation?
Well, let's see. My daughters do. Well, one daughter's a nurse, Barbara, and Hazel. Now this year Hazel's working, and tomatoes were so hard to get. We usually get together and I help her can 100 quarts of tomatoes. But she said, Mother, forget about it this year. She said that, we would have to go out and buy them, I guess. And I thought, as long as she feels that way, I'm not going to push her,
Yeah.
I have a few jars for both of them.
It's been a poor year for all the vegetables.
Yeah. I canned some for Hazel and some for Barbara. They didn't get them yet, but they will. And what they need after that, why? We have never eaten a can of tomatoes in our lives. I don't think any of us, and to our family wise, really.
So if you have extras, you'll share them with people in the family?
Yes, right. Yeah, and that's what I use for my gifts. I have lots of friends or relatives who are generous with us and all, but that's what I give for gifts. Didn't move. Now, when we came home today, I ran out in the garden, and I see we had some nice heads. It took that long for it to develop.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to make today. I had some red and green peppers. We're picking our first peppers, if you can believe that.
This
First
late?
ones now.
Yeah.
What's your favorite kind of pickle, Mr. Zimmer?
What was that?
What's your favorite kind of pickle?
Well, sweet sour, I would say.
Are those the same
Sweet
as bread and
pickles.
butter pickles?
Sorta, yeah. Sweet pickles.
Sweet
sorta.
pickles.
Yeah. All pickles are sour too. They have vinegar.
What sort of things do you bake?
Everything, whatever. Spur of the moment things.
Donuts to bread.
Yeah. I make a lot of yeast dough. Famous for my Fastnacht, which is a German donut. You ever heard of Fastnacht? Is a word that's used, it's German, in the Lenten season. You know how the English have the donut day and the pancake day and all that when the Lenten season starts? Well, the Germans have a Fastnacht. It's called feast night. And I guess you stuff yourself with these before, and then you're supposed to lay off of it, how you, during Lent, some people fast and all.
That's part of your German background?
I
you
think so, yes. My father was a baker, and he used to make these before on Shrove Tuesday. He made them. When we come home from school, he had this big wash tub lined with paper bags, you know, to absorb it, and we would have to deliver them to all the neighbors. All the kids take a bag here and take a bag there. So we do the same thing. I don't make as many, but I make plenty, and believe me, the people let us know beforehand, you know, what's coming up, and yeah.
They put their orders in.
Right.
Huh?
I know our former pastor from our church, he just reminds me, you know, it's time for that. And also for his bottle of dandelion wine, which he gets for his birthday at Christmas time every year.
My grandfather used to make it, but I was a kid when he did.
Yeah.
I don't remember really what it tasted like.
When we first were married, the neighbor next door had a lot of grapes, and he said, George, he said, how about, he said, I'll furnish the barrel and the grapes. He said, we'll make some wine. I said, okay. So we made this big 55-gallon barrel of wine and had it down in the cellar. And one day I went down the cellar and the wine started running. I saw the wine running across the floor, and here the termites had eaten up into the wine barrel.
No.
There went the wine.
Oh, what a mess.
My granddaughter was just 16, and she said, Gran, I want a bottle of your dandelion wine, she said, that I want to use the day I get married. So I had this a real old bottle, and a niece of mine had drew me a label. She's a very clever artist. She drew me a label with dandelion blossoms and leaves on it, and she wrote on there Zimmer's famous something, I forget what it was, and then she put the vintage on and all, and I gave that label to Carolyn on that, and they have it sitting in their living room on the shelf in there, and it's just as clear and beautiful. I was looking at it last night. Did you notice, George, how pretty it is?
That's terrific. Do you make anything special, say at Christmas time?
Me baked, yeah, many baked things wise. Cookies and stollen I make. A lot of stollen. Give them for gifts too. They are very much appreciated.
Do you ever make fruitcake?
Yes, make fruitcake. I don't make it as much as I used to, because lots of people make their own, and there's so many sales going on that people, churches, you know, these companies get you to sell this and that, and so many people buy their own fruitcake, and it's so expensive to make today. So I make the stollen just for the holiday season.
Yeah. So do you basically take a supporting role in the kitchen? She's the boss, and
I peel the apples and the onions and the peaches, peppers.
Yeah, since he's retired, he does. I used to do it all myself, but it is a help now that George peels. You know, I can get started, and especially canning string beans. He'll clean them, and I can get the jars ready and washed, and the lima beans he'll peel. And sometimes I wonder how I did all that with 3 little kids, you know, but you do it, and I always enjoyed it.
Now what's this? This more of the dough?
No, I just see that in here now to show you. My niece just gave me that the other day. She was cleaning chickens that they raise themselves to put in the freezer. This is chicken fat. This is what I get my source of. And I'll take it and I'll put it on here in a real heavy pot on the little wood stove, and it'll render it, you know, real nice. This is after it's rendered, so isn't it beautiful?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I have to put it in the freezer now. I thought I had it in there because it will get moldy after. I just did it about 2 weeks ago.
And then do you use that mostly for all your cooking? And
Mostly for my yeast dough, in place of butter or lard or whatever you use. If I had chicken fat, and it makes it such a beautiful color, and it's just tender and luscious. It really is.
now you make me wish you did have some bread.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna put the peppers here?
No, that's what we're making the chow chow out of. This gets all cut up too.
I've got to be sure to take a picture of that.
All right.
There you go.
The onions and the peppers.
Beautiful.
And some celery, and the cauliflower will go in there.
Oh, this looks just wonderful.
Not everybody likes a piece Sue, but it was a good day for it, so I just, just.
Let's say a little grace.
God is gracious.
Gracious God is good, and we thank Him for this food. By His hand we all are fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.